Thunder breathing is arguably the fastest breathing style in Demon Slayer, second only to sun breathing, which is, the original breathing style. It's crazy to think that all the other breathing styles were invented after sun breathing, and it says a lot that thunder breathing is still considered the fastest. It's even faster than Kokushibo's moon breathing. It's so fast that it can one-shot any demon, and I mean not only mid-level demons, but even the strongest of all demons called the Upper Moons. Plus just 2 of its forms are enough to injure the Demon King, Kibutsuji Michael Muzan. But do you know what exactly these 7 forms of thunder breathing are, and how powerful they are? Especially the first one, Thunderclap and Flash. It was pointed out in chapter 145 that the first form of thunder breathing is the foundation of all thunder breathing forms. So if a user can't master it, the other forms won't have the same impact. By the way, this is the only form Zenitsu knows. But since he mastered the very foundation of thunder breathing, imagine how powerful he will be if he learns the other forms. So in this move, the user quickly draws their katana and dashes forward at lightning fast speed. They take out their opponent before they even know what hit them, and then swiftly sheath the sword again. Some fans believe this breathing form is inspired by Yaijutsu, a real-life sword technique that's all about quickly drawing the sword. What's interesting is that Yaijutsu is more about counterattacks than just attacking, but it can also be used for surprise attacks. It was never stated when exactly Yaijutsu started being used or when people began practicing the specific sword drawing techniques. What we know is that Japanese swords have been around since the Nara period. Thunderclap and Flash also has some nutty variations. Variation number 1, 6-fold. The first one we saw way back in season 1. Zenitsu performs Thunderclap and Flash 6 times in quick succession, slightly boosting power and speed each time. Variation number 2, 8-fold. Similar to 6-fold, but Zenitsu uses Thunderclap and Flash 8 times in a row, with slight increases in power and speed each time. Variation number 3, the fastest one, Godspeed. Ooh, my favorite one! Zenitsu used this against Daki, and with Inosuke's help, they managed to behead an Upper Moon. At first, Zenitsu could only use it once, but during the battle against Muzan, he got so much better at it that he could use it twice while keeping its insane power and speed. What's more interesting about thunder breathing is that it's one of the 5 breathing styles derived from the original sun breathing. By the way, I'm not sure if you knew this, but sound breathing was actually created from it. It's a branch of thunder breathing, used by the fastest hashira, Tengen. And sound breathing is also powerful. It uses explosive moves and lightning fast attacks to deal huge damage, while confusing enemies with super loud noise. Tengen combines his superhuman hearing and anti-demon bombs to make sound breathing even deadlier. Thunder breathing originally has 6 standard forms, with the first form as a foundation. But Zenitsu actually created a 7th form, so powerful that it not only destroyed his senpai Kaigaku, but even slashed Muzan. I'll explain this form in detail later in the video. Also keep in mind that the 2nd to 6th forms were only used by Kaigaku after he had already become a demon, which means he totally tweaked them with Blood Demon art. So it's kinda hard to say what these forms would look like in their original versions. Thunder breathing has 3 key users. The first one was the former hashira, Jigoro Kuwajima, the grandpa who trained Zenitsu like a slave in the mines. And did you know that once a thunder breathing user climbs up to a hashira level, they're not called thunder hashira, but instead rumble hashira? What makes thunder breathing interesting is its lightning fast moves. Its users are so fast that their attacks come at blinding speeds that can totally one hit delete a demon. The other known users are our boy Zenitsu and bro Kaigaku, who became a demon and was Zenitsu's senpai. And the real question is, why did Kaigaku only use the 2nd to the 6th forms? The answer is because he couldn't use the first one. Zenitsu and Kaigaku were total opposites. Zenitsu couldn't do the 2nd to 6th form, while Kaigaku couldn't do the first one, Thunderclap and Flash. Just like I said earlier, if a user can't master it, the other forms won't have the same impact. And that is exactly what happened to Kaigaku. Take that, you two-faced traitor. But when he became a demon, his forms got stronger. Like the 2nd form, Rice Spirit, where Kaigaku performs 5 successive attacks in a single breath, all in the blink of an eye. Side note, the name Rice Spirit might be based on the Japanese belief that when lightning hits a rice field, it brings a good harvest and helps fertilize the plants. I know that sounds helpful, but as Kaigaku continued to attack Zenitsu, we saw how destructive these forms were, including the 3rd form, Thunder Swarm. Kaigaku surrounds his enemy with waves of arched lightning, hitting them from every direction. Speaking of lightning, did you know that thunder breathing doesn't actually create real thunder or lightning? The elements you see are just visual effects. This also applies to other breathing styles. Yes, it was explained in chapter 146 that water-breathing swordsmen don't actually produce water, but it looks that way to people watching. Now the crazy thing is, even though it might not produce real lightning or thunder visual, this breathing does actually release a sound like thunder. So how is that possible? Thunder breathing mainly powers up the legs. Zenitsu explained that to perform it, you must use every muscle and blood vessel to build up the strength in your legs. That's why it creates so much energy that you can actually feel the air vibrating around Zenitsu, meaning that power translates into speed and it explodes, making a sound like thunder. So the main lesson for you here is, don't skip leg day. In addition to the third form, which is a close range attack, there are thunder breathing forms that can strike from much farther away. Take the fourth form, distant thunder. For instance, Kaigaku creates a ball of electricity that shoots out powerful lightning bolts in multiple directions from a distance. Even though this form is destructive due to its wide range, it didn't work on Zenitsu. In fact, Zenitsu even mentioned that Kaigaku was so slow that he had no trouble slicing him. In chapter 145, Kaigaku made a comeback using the fifth form, Heat Lightning. This move is a long-range, upward sword slash that burns Zenitsu's flesh because it was infused with cheating, or blood demon art. After using the fifth form, Kaigaku quickly followed up with the sixth form. Like, this guy didn't take any breaks. Rumble and Flash, unleashing a series of powerful lightning attacks that hit Zenitsu from a distance. This attack became much deadlier because it was also infused with blood demon art, which is why any slashing attacks Zenitsu suffered continued to tear his flesh. It even burned Zenitsu's eyes and body. What's funny is that Kaigaku used all these attacks, from the second all the way to the sixth form, to take down Zenitsu. Not only that, but he's also a demon, and that to an upper moon. Okay, this guy had so many power boosts, but our bro is such a dog that he only needed one form to defeat Kaigaku, the seventh form, Flaming Thunder God. This form was so fast, it took out his overpowered, cocky, two-faced, dog-faced, lame friend-ass senpai in one shot. Not only that, this form also injured Muzan. However, Zenitsu mentioned that the cut was too shallow and only a bright red blade could do enough damage. Why? Because a bright red Nichiren sword can slow down or even stop a demon from healing. And did you know that this seventh form might be inspired by one of the 8 thunder gods, specifically Hono Ikazuchi or Fire Thunder? Does it ring a bell? Sound familiar? You're right if it did, because it was also a skill used in Naruto. There's also a chance Zenitsu was inspired by Tanjiro to create this technique. Here's why it could represent Zenitsu's bond with Tanjiro and Inosuke. The name of this form is similar to the Hinokami Kagura that Tanjiro uses, and the dragon-shaped lightning bolt you see in this form could symbolize Inosuke's wild nature and his beast breathing style. If this form is strong enough to kill an upper moon and injure the Demon King, would it be enough to defeat the strongest demon slayer in history, Yoriichi Tsugikuni?